Hello and welcome to a new video review, this time about the Arken Optics SH4 Generation 2 6-24x50. Arken Optics is a pretty new player on the market for sports optics because the company was founded in 2019 in Texas, USA. Arken promises to deliver affordable scopes made from best materials, and currently they have only two series of rifle scopes, which are like this scope is the SH4, which is a 4x zoom factor rifle scope, and there is the EP5 series, which has only one scope till now, the 5-25x56. Now, this particular scope has a magnification from 6 to 24 and has a 50mm objective lens. The scope is made in China and is completely made out of metal. So all the moving parts on the scope are made out of metal and they are really nicely machined. The internals of the scope are nitrogen purged, which means the scope will not start to fog if you use the scope in very cold environment. It is also waterproof and shockproof up to 50 BMG. The length of the scope is 358mm, which is shorter than rifle scopes from other brands with a similar or the same magnification. But the scope is quite heavy with 1037 grams. But I have to say, this scope features a 34mm main tube. The scopes from other brands, most of the scopes from other brands, feature a 30mm main tube, so there is a weight difference also because of the main tube. The warranty of this scope is 10 years, and on the objective I have to say the outer diameter is 59mm, which you need if you want to mount a thermal or night vision attachment on front of the scope. Now the reticle is positioned in the first focal plane, so when you change the magnification, the reticle gets also thinner or thicker. If you order a mil version, the reticle is in mil and the turret is in mil. And the same is for MOA, so if you order an MOA version, the clicks are in MOA and also the reticle. The reticle is a Christmas tree style and it has a very small dot in the middle. Now this particular scope in mil has a dot with 0.04 mil, which is very small, so you can shoot very small targets at bigger distances. The middle part of the reticle is also illuminated, and illuminated are only the dot and 1 mil all around the middle of the reticle. The illumination can be controlled with this turret, and there are 6 intensity settings for the illumination. Between each setting there is an off position in between, and you can come the entire revolution back to 0. On the same turret is also the battery compartment, which is here, and you need only one CR2032 battery for the illumination. On the same turret is also the Parralax Adjustment, which goes from 20 yards all the way to infinity. The parallax is very smooth, and up to 300 meters approximately it is very finely adjustable. You can very easily find the perfect position for the parallax adjustment. Further, you have a little bit less space, so you have to make really small movements for the perfect adjustment. Then the eyepiece, it is also very smooth and can be very precisely adjusted. The same goes with the magnification ring, and the magnification goes from the smallest to the biggest magnification in 180 degree. There is also a throw lever available for this scope, which goes perfectly on this magnification ring. Now the turrets, I have to say the clicks on these turrets are great. They are very tactile and very audible, so you really hear them when you operate the turret, and you feel every single click, so you don't need to look on the turret when you make the adjustment. The clicks are in milliradian, and one click is exactly 1 centimeter at 100 meters. In one revolution you have 8 mil of adjustment, which is not my favorite because a round number is much easier to operate. So if it will be 10, it will be even better. Now you have multiple turns with the turret because the internal adjustment of this scope is 32 mil, and with only 4 mil per revolution you can make 4 entire revolutions if you zero the scope on the complete zero. The turret has no turn indicator except for these lines which are under the turret. They are not very visible. The turret has also a zero stop, which is very easy to adjust. So when you're on the range, for zeroing you just make your adjustment. Then you have to unscrew these 3 screws here, and then the turret gets loose. You just have to go back to 0, so the 0 is facing forwards. You screw the 3 screws back in and you're already set. Then for the zero stop you just go 2 clicks up and you gently screw this screw inside until you feel a resistance. Then you just go a quarter of the revolution back and tighten this small screw on the front. Like this, the zero stop is also already set. Now the same is for the Windage turret. It is also very easy to adjust, and as you can see you have 4 mil of adjustment in each direction. But also this turret is a multi-turn turret, so you can go an entire revolution. This is in my opinion not ideal because you can make an error and go back in the wrong direction, and like this you can make a whole revolution of an error. Stop would be much better, so you could not go further than 4 mils, or let's say 6 mil, and then you have to go back, just that you don't come back to the 0 through the opposite direction. The scope has this part here, which is pretty high out of the bottom of the scope, especially this part where the retention spring is inside. And you have to be careful when you purchase a mount for this scope, because it can happen that this part bottoms on the mount before the mounting part does. This is especially with monoblock mounts, and I can show you here because I prepared this tier 1 monoblock mount. This one, and if we put the scope inside the mount, we can see there is a lot of space between the tube and the base of the mount, but this middle section of the scope already bottomed out, so you could not properly mount the scope. It should be higher. Now in this case, because this mount it does not have any material here, it's not such a big problem. But if you take a different monoblock mount which has full material on the bottom, then you have to go a lot higher, because then this part of the retention spring would bottom out on the base of the mount. So what I measured is that this part stays out about 5.5 millimeters, and this one additional 5.5 millimeters. So the space between the mounting main tube and the bottom of the monoblock mount should be at least 11 millimeters. Now for the optical performance, I have to say the scope has very good optical clarity. Also the colors are very accurate, and there is no part of the image blurry. It's very crisp. Now the field of view on the 6x magnification is 6.96 meters at 100 meters, and on the biggest magnification on 24 times it's 1.74 meters at 100 meters. The scope has no tunneling effect, and the eye relief of the scope is 89 millimeters, so a lot of space for if you want to mount the scope on bigger caliber rifles. The eye box is also very good, and is very easy to stay on target or behind the scope with a perfect image. Okay, so what do you get in the box? On owner's manual, then bikini lens protection, which I find are very nicely made, but I would still prefer flip up covers. Then a sunshade, a zeroing tool, some stickers, and a cleaning cloth. And now for a short summary. First of all, what do I like about this scope? Is it is very nicely made. All the parts are very nicely machined, made completely out of metal, which is really nice. The scope features great optical quality. The reticle is very nice and usable. Also the small dot in the middle, which is very small, is very perfectly designed for aiming at very small targets. Then the clicks are great. I have to say they have a really premium feel, and even some much more expensive rifle scopes do not have such good clicks like this one. The zero stop is a great feature, and I like that the scope is not too long. It is much shorter than rifle scope with the same magnification from other brands. And lastly, the price. With approximately 820 euros, it's a great value of a scope from such a high quality. But whatsoever, where do I see some room for improvements is, first of all, on the turret. I don't like that you don't have a round number. 10 mil per revolution would be much better and much easier for the operator. Then these are multi-turn turrets, but you have marks only up to 15 mil. The turret goes at least 3 whole revolutions, so up to 24 mil would be great if you had on the turret. Then turn indicator, which it's pretty difficult to see, especially if you mount the scope on a 20 MOA mount. Then the turret goes even lower down, so you don't see anything of this line under the turret. Then on the Windage turret, because it's a multi-turn turret, I don't like that, because like I said before, you can make an error of a whole revolution. It has no locking turret, but okay, the clicks are very hard to make, so you don't really need a locking function. It's very difficult to make an error and accidentally make a few clicks. Then the weight, it's quite heavy with 1037 grams. And lastly, this bottom part, it sticks out very much, so you have to be very careful when you purchase a mount, especially monoblock mount, and especially this part where the retention spring is. Okay, this was a short video review of the Arken Optics SH4 Generation 2 6-24x50. If you have any additional questions, click the link below, and if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.